Miles Davis, he was a seeker.
Even if I didn't understand it or hear it, I trust him enough to know that I need to explore this. I think of him as Miles Davis, the artist, rather than the musician, because he's more than, he's more than just the music too. Any great artist is more than their art.
I think there's also a philosophical reason for changing.
In terms of creativity, Picasso is a great model, because when Picasso learned how to do something, he abandoned it. And as a result of that, in terms of his development as an artist, the results were extraordinary. Miles Davis is the Picasso of jazz. The way he changed his music, like Picasso changed his painting. Picasso built his different periods on his previous work, as did Miles.
He was a seeker, which was evident from his early work with Charlie Parker. I mean, he didn't just go the way that a lot of people were going. He had his own approach.
I always liked Miles. I don't think there's anything he's done that I didn't like. So certain musicians you trust. I trusted him. And I trusted that even if I didn't understand it or hear it, I trust him enough to know that I need to explore this.
Miles wants to always be moving with the times. I mean, this is a very complicated topic, but Miles and I discussed this several times in different ways, and we agreed mainly that things are always changing.
He had heard me with Max, he had heard me with Art probably, and he came in one night, I was working with McCoy, he came in the Slugs, and I didn't see him or anything, but they said, Miles Davis is here, we were on stage, so when I came off, I looked for him and he was gone, but the following week he called me, to do the gig. And I thought it was a friend of mine, I thought it was Jack, because we used to, tease each other with his voice. Gary, what are you doing? So he's calling me, asking me to join the band, and I'm saying, who is this? Is this you, Jack? Doing that kind of, so he made me realize it was him. Yeah, he got a little intense. See, his recording were totally different from, they were put together. Sometimes they were like jigsaw puzzles, the way they put them together. One cut from here, one little 4 bars from there, put this in there, but that's how he was. So with that particular, the band I was in, that was such an organic band, man. I mean, we would start out, and sometimes it would take a while because we played long shows. We would play, sometimes our concerts were 2 hours and longer, but we'd start out, and he loved that, man. Because he was trumpet playing, he was so strong, he was healthy, wasn't eating meat, wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking. He was going to the gym, he was just wanted to play the trumpet, so that's what we did. We were all basically healthy in that band.
When Michael Henderson joined the band, the influence of the great Motown bassist James Jamerson was felt.
We used to talk, and he was telling me that he was thinking about hiring this guy, Michael Henderson, but he didn't play acoustic bass. And so he said, I don't know, so I had seen Michael with Stevie Wonder, and I liked what he was doing. Then I went to see him with Aretha Franklin. I liked his sound and everything. So I said to Miles, I said, well, he might bring it might bring a totally new thing to the music, you know, just for it to be, you know, electric bass. And so I think he thought about that, you know, because we thought about the music. We were always thinking about it. And so he ended up, because I remember Miroslav, he tried out different basses. Michael came and Michael fit right in. Because he brought the blues. I mean, Miles, I've heard him say, they said, well, what do you call, you know, what are you doing musically? You know, he said, I'm just tooting the blues. And that's how he looked at it. We're blues players. You know, we're not that J word, we're blues players. He could see things. He would handpick his band. He used to go out and listen to everybody, and he would hear. And if he'd heard something he liked, and sometimes it might not work out, you know, but if he heard it, that's how he used to do. And that's how all of his other bands were. I mean, with Train and Ray Garland, Philly Joe, you know, Wayne and Herbie, you know, he picks band leaders. Yeah, so it's not just by chance.
We got a lot of flack from people that said, well, Miles, why aren't you playing, you know, the way we want you to play like back in the 40s, you know. I think he's also a person that doesn't want to be a relic. I share that with him, by the way, that trait.
Brings back memories. I remember, you know, sometimes you remember, oh, that's when I did that, or that's when he did that, or that's when this happened, you know. So it brings back memories. But basically, I wish I could go back and do it again. I wish I knew then what I knew now. Yeah. So, you know, but gotta move on.